Okay, this is the Gospel of John, chapter 9. Open and go Bible study. Okay, and as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Now, I think it's interesting they're asking about who sinned, because there are cases where our sin can cause us to have issues, physical ailments even, or the sins of our parents generations back. It can cause us to have, different curses or ailments. And so it's interesting that they ask him that, and he clarifies that it's not because of this man's sin or his parents' sin that he's blind, but simply that the works of God should be made manifest in him. That's why he was blind, because God intended for Jesus to heal him. It's interesting. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way therefore and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors therefore, now spit, right? There has to be, I don't know about you, but I would not be comfortable with spit and mud. Mud made out of spit put on my eyes, but there's a level of desperation and willingness to do what it takes to receive healing. I don't know if that's the point here, but that's what's standing out to me. Is like, that would make me be like grossed out, but yeah, I always just thought that was interesting. He made, mud out of his own spit, and that healed this man. It's kind of amazing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before had seen him that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Now again, just like Jesus earlier told the man to pick up his bed, there's a level of action a lot of times that follows, and it's that kind of that faith with the works, because it says faith without works is dead. So he asked him in faith to go wash, and he did. I went and washed, and I received my sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind, and it was the Sabbath day. Here again, he's healing on the Sabbath day. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. It's interesting that Jesus is healing on the Sabbath. Seems like a regular thing. And that's definitely a problem for these Pharisees. Then again, the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, He put clay upon mine eyes, and I washed, and do see. Therefore, said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. It doesn't say that he was actually keeping it somehow, right? No, it says this man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. He very obviously was not keeping the Sabbath day. Others said, "How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles?" And there was a division among them. The Sabbath day. They say unto the blind man again, "What sayest thou of him, that he hath opened thine eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." But the Jews did not believe. Did not believe. Here we go again. Did not believe. This believe is super important. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked them, saying, "Is this your son, who ye say was born blind? How then doth he now see?" His parents answered them and said, "We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now seeth, we know not. Or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age, ask him. He shall speak for himself." These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, "He is of age, ask him." So they're afraid. And then again called the man that was blind and said unto him, "Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner." He answered and said, "Whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see." Then said they to him, "What did he to thee? How opened he thine eyes?" He answered them, "I have told you already, and ye did not hear." No, there's notated here. Probably believe. Okay, so not 9:27:1. Listen. Okay, yeah, you didn't listen. "Wherefore would ye hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples?" Why do you want to? Oh, do you also want to be? Okay. "Will ye also be his disciples?" Okay. Then they reviled him. So they reviled him. And again, like back at the, some of the other chapters of John that we were reading, these Jews, when they hear the truth, when they hear that Jesus is healing people, they have this reviling hatred for Jesus and for the people who have been healed. And it has to do with this Sabbath day, right? You're breaking the rules, Jesus, and we want to kill you. It's just like, it's so wild to me. They're more focused on the law and keeping a set of rules than they are about the power of God healing. Then they reviled him and said, "Thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is." The man answered and said unto them, "Why, herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened mine eyes. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing." They answered and said unto him, "Thou wast altogether born in sins, and doth thou teach us?" And they cast him out. Yeah, try to tell somebody that's received healing that they haven't. It's like, ugh, the Pharisees were the worst. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said unto him, "Dost thou believe on the Son of God?" He answered and said, "Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him?" And Jesus said unto him, "Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee." So Jesus is the Son of God. And he said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. And Jesus said, "For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind." And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see. Therefore your sin remaineth. Now this judgment here, earlier he talked about how he has not come into the world to condemn. So I'm going to keep that in mind and read this again. For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see. So this is like salvation, right? Like we don't understand that we're already condemned. We're condemned, we're in sin, we don't see. So he came that we might see. And for those, the Jews, right, that he's talking about here, they which see, in parentheses, they think they see, that they which see might be made blind. So, yeah, it's just, they think that they can see, they think that they're saved, they think that keeping the law is their salvation, and he's showing them that they truly are blind by that, because if they can't see that Jesus is their salvation, then they are blind. All right, we'll stop there.